Hello learners, the poem that we are going to start today is The Shed by Frank Flynn. As you can see a picture over here, it's a picture of a shed. Shed is a place basically used for keeping extra things. It is used sometimes as a storehouse also. Shed is also a place where some of the animals live. So in this poem, the poet basically talks about his old shed in the garden. So let's start the poem. Before we begin, let's know some basic things about the poem. It's a narrative poem in which a child is the speaker. He is speaking about a shed. The shed is at the bottom of the garden, which is rarely opened. A spider's web is seen hanging across the door to indicate this truth. The shed has a dusty window with three cracked panes of glass. Whenever he passes through the way, he feels that somebody is staring at him. But the poet's brother warns him not to enter the shed, else the ghost will kill him. The poet knows his brother lies and there is no ghost, but the poet is determined to enter the shed one day. So now let's start the poem. Start with the recitation and explanation of stanza 1. There's a shed at the bottom of a garden. You can see the shed in the picture with a spider's web hanging across the door. So the poet is basically saying here that there's a shed at the bottom of his own garden. Hardly anyone goes inside this shed. It may not be used because it is quite old. So that's why the spiders are the first one who came up there to make their webs. The hinges are rusty and creak in the wind. Hinges means door joints. Rusty means affected by rust. And creak means a harsh scraping sound. So the door joints have also become rusty and make a lot of noise whenever the wind makes them to move. When I am in bed, I lie and listen. I'll open that door one day. So when the poet is peacefully lying in the bed, he hears that creaky sound produced by the rusty joints of the doors of his shed. He is gathering enough courage to go into this shed by opening its door. So children, you can see in this stanza the poet describes about an old shed where he wants to go to know its mystery. Let's continue the stanza 2. There is a dusty old window around with the side with three cracked panes of glass. So here you can see a picture of an old window with some cracked panes of glass. Cracked means broken. So the poet is saying over there the shed has a window with some broken panes of glass which are fully covered with dust. I often think there's someone staring at me each time that I pass. Staring means looking continuously. I'll peep through that window one day. Peep means look into. So the poet says that whenever he tried to go outside towards the shed, he feels like someone is watching him cautiously from that shed. He is saying that though he is feeling scared and hesitated, but he is fully determined to go to the window and look through it. So he is curious to know what is there in this shed. So children, you can see in this stanza that how the poet has a keen desire to look inside this shed. Let's continue with stanza 3. My brother says there's a ghost in the shed who hides under the rotten floorboards. So there is a picture of the ghost you can see, and if I even dare to set foot inside, he'll jump out and chop off my head. But I'll take a peek one day. Rotten means spoiled. Dare means to have enough courage to do something. Chop off means cut, and peek means to peep or to look. So now there's another side of the poem, and that is the side of his brother. Here he describes about his brother. He says that his brother talks about the presence of the ghost inside the shed, who is hidden under the rotten floorboards. The word rotten floorboards is used here to show that the shed is too old and its floorboards or floor, you can say, is fully spoiled. So his brother is making him scared by saying that there is a ghost inside the shed. Now his brother warns him not to go inside or he will be killed by that ghost, as he will cut his head by attacking on him. But the poet doesn't frighten much. He still wished to one day step inside the shed and see for himself that what is the secret of this shed. So here you can see that the poet talks about his brother's warning to him not to enter this shed, but he is fully determined that he'll go one day there and have a look through the window that what is there inside this shed. Now let's come to stanza 4. I know that there isn't really a ghost. My brother tells lies to keep the shed for his den. There isn't anyone staring or making strange noises, and the spider has been gone from his web. So the poet in these lines seems to have grown enough to understand the truth. He is able to overcome his fears. He is able to understand that there is no ghost inside the shed who stares at him or makes the strange noises. The spider too is no longer there. His brother is only making fake stories about the shed so that no one can enter in this shed and he can use this shed for his own purpose. His brother tries to make him afraid so that he will be able to retain the shed for his own self. Now, since I don't know when, I'll go into that shed one day soon, but not just yet. By Frank Flynn. So the poet is fully determined. He says that he would be able to set in foot inside the shed one day. However, he says that this can't happen immediately. He says that he will go over there surely, but not just now. So, the poem ends with an open ended portion, means that the poet is waiting for the correct time to go inside this shed. So, children, you can see that though the poet is scared and hesitated to go inside the shed, but at last he collects enough courage and gets confidence to go inside this shed very soon. So, what's the moral? The moral is that if we have the confidence and courage, nothing is difficult or impossible for us. So, I hope, children, that you have enjoyed this poem and you have fully understood this poem. So, now let's move to some suggested activities. Here is a suggested activity for you. Write a similar poem based on a shed you have seen. Thank you, children. Have a nice day and happy learning.